All right, here we go. 14, 15, and 16. Chapter 5. It's going to be on our Chapter 3 test. So we're kind of including Chapters 3 and 5 together on this Chapter 3 test, okay? It'll be under Chapter 3 in on the YouTubes, okay? All right, what we do, you guys have not seen this yet, but you have all the tools necessary to be able to do this. Okay, so it's kind of like you've learned how to change a tire, right? Yeah. On a car, and now you got to change a tire on a semi. Pretty much the same thing, just bigger tools, right? So think of it like that. All right, so when we look at this, we're going to always do GCF first. Okay, it's a 5-step method. Whenever you factor, we do 5-step method, and the first step, the 5-step method, is always GCF, right? So in other words, we're always doing what's called I call it upside down division because it's usually upside down. But when we have these, sometimes I have it right side up. See what I mean? Because normally we just have an equation, so I do upside down division and go down with it. Now we're going to do it right side up and go up and down. Okay? So I want to know what goes into 12 and 4. What number? 4? Okay? 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 4 one time. Okay? So we really have 4 times 3x minus 1. Right? And then we're going to do the bottom one. What goes into 9 and 3? 3. Good. How many times does 3 go into 9? 3 times. And how many times does 3 go into 3? Once. Okay? So we really have 3 and 3x minus 1, right? Okay? So is there anything the same on the top and the bottom? Like, yeah, 3x minus 1. So it's a lot like if you had, say, 12 over 8, right? And you broke those up as this is 4 times 3, and this is 4 times 2, right? And you would go, okay, well, the 4's cancel. That makes sense, right? And you get 3 halves. Okay? The same thing. Same thing. These cancel, and so you get 4 thirds. And that's it. That's all we're doing. Okay? Now, later on, I'm going to show you extra credit. This is what I want for extra credit. Okay? So in pre-cal, you're going to be expected to do this. For right now, it's extra credit. The bottom cannot go to 0. Ever. Okay? So right here, there's a possibility for it to go to 0, correct? Okay? And so therefore, you have to take that bottom, 3x minus 1, and say it cannot equal 0. Because if it equals 0, if that bottom goes to 0, then the whole fraction blows up, right? In other words, any number over 0 is undefined, right? That's what we call it, undefined. Cannot happen, okay? So you just got to solve for that. Okay, so we're going to add 1. We get 3x is not equal to 1. Right? Then you're going to divide. So x cannot equal 1/3. Okay? And that's extra credit. Okay? And then later on we're going to talk about that's becoming an asymptote and all sorts of stuff. Okay? So for this one, you could go right away to the extra credit. Right? And say x plus 5 could not equal 0. Does that make sense? And so, minus 5, x cannot equal minus 5. And now you already got your extra credit. Okay? You have points right away. Does that make sense? All right. The other thing is, to do this problem, I need to factor this. So it's just, nothing goes into this, and this, right? 1, 11, and 30. So then I got to go to the next step. That's parentheses, variable, right? And then, green. And then the sign comes up, right? And this sign tells me they're the same or different. Which one? The same. I'm recording, right? Good. Okay? Alright. And then we have to find our product and sum, right? The product is 30, and the sum is 11. Okay? So two numbers that multiply to be 30, but add to be, add or subtract? Add, good. Add to be 11. Good, 5 and 6. So the sum is 11, the product is 30. So we're saying 5 times 6, or are we saying 6 plus 5? Which one are we saying? Always big number first, right? So 6 times 5, and then that way we plug it in 6 and 5. Okay? So let's rewrite this. X plus 6 times x plus 5 over x plus 5. Now, is there anything that is like on the top and on the bottom? X plus 5. So we get x plus 6 is the answer. Whereas x cannot equal negative 5. If you want extra credit. Okay. That leads us to this one. If we want to do our extra credit, it really is this easy, people. It's always the opposite. So x cannot be negative 6, negative 5, and 3. How did I do that so fast? Yeah, I just look at it and I go, look, what's up? What plus 5 is 0? Negative 5. Negative 6. Positive 3, right? I just look at it. It's easy. Okay. This extra credit is the easiest extra credit you'll ever see all year long. And only, I'll guarantee you, only, I would say normally 1, but I think 3 of you will do it. Prove me wrong, please. Okay? But in the past, usually only 1 or 2 students out of both classes will actually do the extra credit. And I'm like, but it's easier than the actual problem. It's like, I don't understand. All right, let's factor this. Okay, we got to factor this, then we'll break it down. So we break this up. It's x and x, right? So what's the sign in the first one? Plus, good. We're just taking this up, plus. And this tells me that they are different. So minus. Okay? What's my product? 30. What's my sum? 1. Am I adding or subtracting? Subtracting. So what multiplies to be 30 but subtracts to be 1? Multiplies to be 30, subtracts to be 1. 30 and 1, that subtracts to be 29.
6.
6 and 5. 6 and 5. Same as before. Except this time we're not adding them, we're subtracting them. Okay? Okay, what about this one? Parentheses. X. What's the sign? What goes up there? Minus. And what does this mean? They're the same. A plus means the same, and a minus means they're different. So write that down if you were getting it wrong. Write that down. A plus means they're the same. A minus means that they're different. Okay? If they're the same, then they both have to be minus. Does that make sense? Okay? So my product is 3, and my sum is 4. I multiply here, but I add here. So I'm adding, what multiplies to be 3 but adds to be 4? 3 and 1. Okay? So now I just rewrite everything. X plus 6 times x minus 5 times x plus 3, minus 3 times x minus 1 all over. Why do I say all over? Because when I'm multiplying, then it's the same as if they were just doing this, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay? So then I say all over x plus 5 times x minus or plus 6 times x minus 3. Okay? So what can I cancel?
X minus 3 and x plus 6.
Good. X minus 3 and x plus 6. Okay? And your answer is x minus 5 times x minus 1 over x plus 5. However, we need two answers because a lot of the times, for some reason, the test wants you to put these back together. It's weird. Hey, simplify this. But then unsimplify it. Doesn't make sense, but that's what they do. Okay? So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, what is x times x? What's x times 1 or negative 1? Negative x. Then negative 5 times x?
Negative 5.
Negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 1? Positive 5. Okay? So we collect our like terms. So our like terms are this and this. So I get x squared minus 6x plus 5 all over x plus 5. And then that's my other answer. Okay? And there you go. That's chapter 5 in a nutshell. Questions before I turn off the camera? A lot of times good questions come and I don't get them captured on the camera. Okay?